Hello. Warning. This video contains diffusion models. If you aren't ready to submit to our AI overlords, close this video now. I wanted to share some Dream Texture experiments I've been messing around with. If you don't know what Dream Textures is, it's a free Blender add-on that acts as a wrapper for Stable Diffusion. A lot of people are already using it to generate materials, but I've stumbled onto some other techniques that I don't see being used very often. Install Dream Textures in the same way you would any add-on. Once installed, follow the instructions in the settings page to get up and running. I like to use third-party checkpoints, which I get from Civet AI. You can tell Dream Textures to include them by using this button. Let's say we have a finished render and want to quickly add a painterly look without having to bring the render into Photoshop and manually paint everything. Open the compositor and select the Dream Texture tab. Choose a backend and a model checkpoint. For the prompt, I usually just type something like oil painting, brush strokes, digital painting, or highly textural. Check the size and source image boxes. For size, make sure you keep the original aspect ratio of the render. If you have a slower computer, I recommend halving or quartering the resolution. We can always upscale it later. Select your render here. The noise strength is the most important control. Diffusion models work by denoising the image in steps, and if we add too much noise, our image will change significantly. To keep the image consistent, keep this value low. If you want to generate multiple images at once, increase the iterations. Then click Generate. This same approach works for watercolor, retro 8-bit, cel shading, and any other style we want. This is a pretty sneaky technique to upgrade Mixamo characters. It's pretty simple. We render out a pass with just the character on a transparent background, including any lighting information. If you don't know how to render transparency, it's in the render settings under the film dropdown. Now we use the same method as before, but instead of adding painterly brush strokes, we're using a photorealistic checkpoint. We don't need to use a prompt for this one. Just play around with the denoising strength and watch as our simple low-poly character becomes a real person. By default, Stable Diffusion can't render transparency, but instead we can just use the original alpha channel of our image. The benefit of this method is that we're only upgrading the character. The actual environment remains unchanged. This third technique is really lazy. We're basically going to art direct the diffusion model to create our concept art or style frames for us. This can be super useful to quickly generate ideas for a music video or short film. Just block out a basic scene with primitives, maybe add a character and some lighting. Give the block out some textures and render out a frame. Again, we're using our rendered frame as the source for the image-to-image model. But this time we'll give it a prompt describing the kind of scene we want and use a higher denoising strength. I wouldn't use this for a finished piece, but it's a great way to rapidly prototype ideas. I'll quickly note that these techniques are only for still images. There's a free tool called EBSynth that allows you to propagate style frames across a video. I'll be testing that out over the next few weeks, and I'll report back if I find anything worthwhile. If you find this content valuable, please like and subscribe so I know to make more. Thanks everyone. I hope you found the video helpful.